Hail to you, Wanderer. On tonight's edition of Metal Mascots, I want to talk about my second favorite flying cranium, CHALY. Now you might be asking yourself, ooh, Necronomimoose, what could be your number one favorite flying brain case? Wings are cool and all, but I prefer undead noggins powered by hellfire. The signature vocals of Bobby Blitz are as familiar to Overkill fans as the image of their mascot that has dominated pretty much every album the band has put out. CHALY, the green-eyed, laser-shooting winged skull straight from the depths of hell, made his first appearance in 1988 on the cover of Overkill's third studio record, Under the Influence. Illustrated by Rich Larson and Steve Fassner, CHALY showed up at the perfect time for Overkill as they hit the road with Motorhead and Slayer and really started to pick up steam and build a fan base. Under the Influence was followed up by another deadly record, In the Years of Decay, produced by the great Terry Date in 1989. The cover featured their new mascot yet again, this time as a monolithic entrance to a tomb or maybe hell itself. The song Elimination was on heavy rotation on Headbangers Ball back in the day. That tune still goes as hard as anything. Perhaps most importantly for heavy metal, The Years of Decay was the record that convinced Daryl and Vince Abbott to hire Terry Date to produce Cowboys from Hell. Dime really fell in love with Bobby Gustafson's guitar tone on the record and was a huge influence on the new Pantera sound and the early days of groove metal itself. CHALY was back on the cover of Horoscope. His wings now evolved into bony hands. Warlock CHALY sees things that were, things that are, and some things that have not yet come to pass. A pair of new guitar players brought a slightly different feel to the album sonically, again produced by Terry Date, and the evolution of Overkill's mascot continued to build the myth of the character. Like most things in this dimension, change was inevitable. And like many metal bands, Overkill was forced to try and stay relevant in a changing world at the turn of the century. CHALY was relegated to the back seat for the next few records, appearing as a Wemyss label on WFO, which set a bit of a trend with that CHALY rendering, showing up on future records like The Killing Kind and The Grinding Wheel. For a while there, CHALY and Overkill album covers in general lacked a certain magic, much like most of heavy metal itself at the time. Despite this, Overkill's music remained consistent, with great tracks on just about every record they put out. When the legendary Travis Smith became the band's go-to cover artist, he returned CHALY to a more fully realized form for a string of records beginning with Relics. But it was with Immortalis that CHALY once again took full flight. Their 2010 release, Ironbound, is an absolute ripper, and served as something of a comeback for the band, with Gary Holt calling it one of their best records ever. Their next release, The Electric Age, again painted by Travis Smith, would break the Billboard Top 100 for the first time in the band's history. And the Last Man Standing single and the Wings of War covers feature both Warning label CHALY and classic Winged Boneheads. And of course CHALY has appeared on a whole bunch of other single and live album covers over the years. The image of the winged skull is as old as time itself. A certain notorious biker gang's patch comes to mind. Ozzy put a small one on the cover of Speak of the Devil and started using it on t-shirt designs in the early 80s. Avenged Sevenfold adopted a version of it for their logo that they called the Death Bat. And incidentally, Travis Smith also did their cover for Nightmare, which is probably their best album cover. The man is a bit of an expert in winged death heads at this point. None of them, however, will ever be as mighty as CHALY, for the flying skull who can shoot laser beams from its eyes will always win. The bottom line is that Overkill are one hell of a thrash band, and CHALY is a mascot for the ages. They might not be in the big four, but some would say they definitely should be along with Exodus. I always thought of them as a criminally underrated band, who have their fingerprints all over the DNA of modern metal, even if they never reached Metallica levels of fame. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.